Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Buckaroo Designs. It is day 3 of our spring break craft along, and I'm excited about today's projects. We're going to do an emboss resist technique, which is always kind of magical. If you haven't checked out day 1 or 2, each day we are making 2 projects. I am teaching 1 technique, and there's a PDF that goes along with each video. Now, I sent the kit to many of you. Many of you ordered the kit. If you ordered the kit, you got the PDF and the technique cards. If you didn't get the kit, the PDF and the technique cards are available for free this week. I will send them to anyone who shops with me at stampinup.com and spends over $50. The details of that are on my blog, so make sure if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, hop over there to get the details on that. If you don't want to order from me, that's cool. I understand too. It's available in my PDF store. You can just buy the PDF for $20. PDF and the technique cards for $20. Speaking of technique cards, let's look at the ones that we've done so far. Faux suede was day 1. Day 2 was whitewash watercolor, which may be my favorite. And today is emboss resist. I feel like techniques are old. These are old techniques. When we're bringing them back, technique never goes out of style. We're going to use the technique on the card, and then we're going to come up with this sweet little hexagon box that my friend Ange designed. It holds a little pot, a little terracotta pot, but I didn't have that, so I just put some flower candies in there. All right, well, let's get ready. We're actually using both bundles today, Year of Flowers and Ocean Friends. The theme is spring break, so we thought, what do you do during spring break? Some of you go to the beach, so we chose Ocean Friends. Some of you stay home and work in your yard like me, and we chose Year of Flowers for you. Okay, so if you have your kit, go ahead and get your pieces out. The PDF has all the measurements. I worked ahead again today. Yesterday, we had some video disasters. We should call them what they are, video disasters. So I was working a little bit ahead today. Let's see. For the card, you're going to need, and I'm going to look at my notes. It's all in the PDF, but I want to tell you exactly what I have. You're going to need a card base, 5.5 by 8.5. And it can be any color. I've chosen white. We're going to, again, color that card front so you won't see it. Then you need a piece of the Friends of the Ocean Designer Series paper, 4 1/4 by 5.5. You need a piece of crumb cake that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then a piece of crumb cake that is 5/8 by 2 5/8. You need a piece of basic white that is 3 3/8 by 4 7/8. And then you just need Granny Apple Green, Boho Blue, and Melon Mambo for your die cutting. Just use a scrap or whatever. For our little box, our little hexagon box, you're going to need, and that's when I need to pull out my little die cut bag. The die cut, let me make sure I get this right. I want to tell you exactly the right thing. This is the second smallest hexagon die, crumb cake, okay? And then you're going to need a piece of crumb cake that is 10.5 by 2.5. A boho blue label, which I cut and set up here so that I wouldn't lose it. And wouldn't you know, I can't find it. So we may have to cut another one. You're going to need 6 pieces of Designer Series paper that measure 1 7/8 by 1.5. Okay, so you need 6 of those. Any of the patterns will work. You need a scrap for your stamping, and then leaves. I am using garden green. Okay. All right. We're going to do that second. So I'm going to set all of that aside, and we're going to come back over and let's do our technique. Grab that piece of white, and you're going to want like a grid paper or something. And you're going to use the lobster, the crab, and the bubbles. And you're going to want your embossing kit. Get your embossing buddy and rub it real good. And then get your Versamark ink. And we're going to stamp these all over. Now, the key is to be able to see where you've stamped them. So I'm going to stamp the lobster twice. And I'm kind of doing it coming off the page. Let me make sure I got him inked pretty well. Then, because I can't see anything, I'm going to go ahead and put some embossing powder. This is our white embossing powder. all over so I can see. Now I'm going to get the crab, and we'll stamp the crab. Let's do him right here. All right. Oh, it looks like he has a little bit of blue on him, so I can actually see him. A little leftover ink from yesterday. All right, and then get your embossing powder again. All right, now take your bubbles. There's 2 different bubble stamps. Both are fine, whichever ones you want to use. And stamp those little bubbles in those open spaces. So now, let's see how it looks, see if I need to add anything else. Sometimes you can see the Versamark on, colored cardstock, but man, on white, you really cannot see it at all. All right, let's thump it a little bit. Looks good. Man, I am now wearing my embossing powder, aren't I? All right, let's move this over. I'm gonna grab my reverse tweezers because I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it up with my fingers like that, and then get your heat tool and heat it up. This will take probably a minute because there are so many images, but once it's all bright and white, shiny, you'll know it's done. So take your time doing this. Make sure you don't scorch your paper. Move your heat tool around as you work. All right, when you're done, take your paper and kind of like move it around so that you can see the light shine on it. If your image isn't shiny, then it's probably not completely heat set, so that'll help you make sure everything is done because there's a lot stamped on there. Now, before you put that stuff away, grab that little strip of crumb cake that we cut, and we're going to stamp the sentiment on here and emboss that. Hello, friend. And you'll see, we'll be able to see the ink a lot better on the crumb cake. Isn't that funny? All right, let's see if I can just do this. We're going to have to thump it. Did I use my Embossy Buddy? Ah, I think I did. All right, now we can move this. I'll clean that up in a little while. I've still got this desk I need to clean up. All right, let's heat set this. All right, now let's get this powder cleaned up off of here, and we're going to do the resist part. Embossing powder, when it is heat set, is going to resist the ink. So that means we're going to put a color over it, but that white, the embossed white images will stay white because it resists the ink. Now I'm going to use crumb cake and a blender brush. And I don't want it to be terribly dark, so let's run it off. It looks like my crumb cake ink pad needs to be re-inked because it's not very dark. All right, so we're just gonna go all over it and do as light or as dark as you want. Start over on your scratch paper so that you don't get that hard blob of ink on your paper. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm also going to take crumb cake Stamp and Blend and do some flicking. I really like to flick ink on my projects, so I do it a lot. Okay, now take a wet, no, not a wet, a dry paper towel and just rub your embossed images. It's gonna rub the ink right off of them because they have resisted that ink. The ink does not soak down, so they will pop right out and be white. And there you go. There you have it. Now, make an extra little square like I did for your technique card and glue it on there so you'll remember exactly what it looks like. All right, now take your trimmer and, you know, I'm not sure I like this trimmer, but we're gonna go for it. 1 1/8. All right, you need 3 1 1/8 strips. Like that. Then get your crumb cake piece. And we'll start, I like to start on the outside edges. You know, if you want the image to be continued, you know, like just kind of like stained glass, make sure you glue them in the right direction. See that? That's pretty cool. Okay, so now let's do our die cutting and our stamping. We are going to stamp our little crabby in boho blue ink on boho blue cardstock. So tone on tone. Let's grab our dies and our die cut machine, and we can run them all through here at the same time. All right, let's see, where did I set the dies? All the way over here. Okay, so we're gonna take the little starfish and cut them from Melon Mambo, the big coral from Granny Apple Green or Garden Green, or, you know, don't feel like it has to be the exact colors that we've used. I like to mix it up. Haha, just kidding. I always stick to the plan. But I've been thinking this week I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. My friend Rhonda's really good at doing that. I'm just one of those, if I see the sample, then in my mind, that's the way it has to be. I'm a rule follower, guys. Always have been. You're welcome, Mom. You're welcome. All right, now, this one, take a look at it. It's an intricate die. If you have any problems with it die cutting, flip it over like that and run it through upside down. That will really get it to come out, okay? All right, now if it sticks, here's my little trick. This is what I do. I try to bounce it out, but a lot of times it doesn't work, but I still try. Take your pick tool, poke in those holes. Sometimes if you drop it to the floor, it'll pop out. This one's really stuck because it has all those little die cut dots. But yesterday I was working with some flowers, and if you just drop that die down to the floor, it'll pop out and you don't have to you don't have to wiggle it out. I know. Sometimes I do weird things. All right, these guys we're just gonna pop out. These cute little starfish. Okay, come on, guys. Don't lose them. Okay, we're ready to put it all together. We're gonna start with this. Let's get our liquid glue and our Granny Apple Green. And I'm just gonna put some dots. You could put an adhesive sheet on the back of this before you die cut it if you want. It's not real hard to die cut. Okay, there we go. And then this guy is gonna be with dimensionals. Like that. And I didn't add ribbon originally, but I think we will add ribbon. Plan says to add ribbon. Let's do it underneath a little crab like this. Okay. Oh, I have embossing powder under my nails. That's kind of like getting sand under your nails. Yuck. All right, now I feel like that's a little bit too big, don't you guys? So let's hold the middle and pull the loops. And then find your scissors that are the least gunked up, or if you have ribbon scissors, which I don't. There we go. Okay. Now let's do a few little starfish. This is a great time to use your putty end of your, take your pick tool. Hot pink starfish, I love it. And then grab some of your dots. These are the neutral dots if you got the kit. These are one of the 2 packs of dots that you got. And we'll add these. I mean, let's be generous. Okay, and then, oh, did I leave room for the words? I think we're gonna have to squeeze them in between the starfish. Right here. Oh, we're gonna waste a dot. Let's get that dot off. We'll put it somewhere else. Hello, friend. So cute. Let's just put it right there. Okay, card base. Your DSP will completely cover your card base. Like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. What a fun and bright card. That looks like spring break to me. Okay, there's your card. Now let's get ready to make our cute little hexagon box. All right, we're switching gears this time and using the Year of Flowers. And I want to remind you that the Year of Flowers is a stamp set. Honestly, I did not think I wanted, but then when I got it and I saw what people were doing with it, I was like, this is a treasure. It has the flowers for each month of the year, so you can personalize your project. So this one, we used March's flower, which is the daffodil. So if it's your friend's birthday at work, or maybe a friend had a baby, you can personalize the project to their flower, their birth month flower. Or my friend Rhonda's idea, which I thought was so great, she made a card for her mom using all the grandkids' birth flower. So think about it that way. It can really be personalized to those that you're giving it to. All right, now this box is so clever. I hadn't thought about a box like this, and Ange came up with this idea, and I love it. You're gonna cut out a piece of crumb cake cardstock using the second smallest hexagon die. So the Be Mine dies, I think is what they're actually called. So it's the second, like not the smallest, the second one after that, or the next one after that. Then you're gonna cut this piece of crumb cake cardstock that is 2 by, what did I say, 10.5. 2.5 by 10.5. On the 2-inch side, on the 2.5-inch side, score it at 2 inches. Turn it, now there's a lot of measurements, so I'm gonna go slow. If you have the PDF, it's all written there for you. 1.5, 3 1/8, 4 3/4, 6 3/8, 8, and then 9 5/8. Okay. Now we're gonna get our tear and tape and our bone folder, and we're gonna burnish these lines. And I'm actually going to go ahead and put the designer series paper on before I put this down on the box. It's just easier that way. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our tear and tape and put it all the way across that 1/2-inch section. All right. Then I'm going to get a little bit of glue, and I'm probably going to be sorry I got glue because it's not going to dry real quick, but it's just easier. And this one I used the little blue and white gingham, which was, I think, cute for a baby. This time I went with this blue. And we're gonna put these on here. Make them straight. I realized on that one, I cut the paper so the patterns weren't all the same. Like you can see, let's see, so see how the blue is going across this way and then the blue is going this way. So look at your pattern when you cut it. If that bothers you, that one's not the right width. Did I cut this piece wrong? It looks like I did. Let's trim it. Okay. Now, take that tear and tape off. I like to put the adhesive on first and then cut apart the, oh my gosh, come on. Why is it being stubborn? There we go. This one down here, this little one, is going to go behind that one, so don't worry too much about that one. Snip, 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 snip. All right, now get your hexagon, and we're going to start with this one. And we're going to line that up right with the edge of one of those. Now this one's going to turn in a minute. We're going to do that, but let's do these other ones first. Now you should just be able to kind of thread it. That's probably not the right word. Just go along, adhering. And then this one goes in and this one's going to cover that one up. And actually, let's put a little bit of adhesive on that right there so that we can push that in like that. Fun, fun, fun. All right, let me get my clothespin because for whatever reason, we're getting ready to have like monsoon weather. So it's, I mean, you could swim through my office right now. It's so humid. Okay, so set that aside. Now let's look. Feel free to change the flower if you don't want to use it. Also, because we're cutting the flower out, it doesn't say March. So you could just do daffodils for spring, okay? Whatever you want. Now, I originally stamped this in Memento, but I noticed on the planner, Ange stamped it in pecan pie. So I thought, ooh, I kind of like the way that looks. Let's try that. You're gonna need to probably heat set your ink. I find that whenever I use daffodil or lemon lolly Stampin' Blends anyway, it always picks up the ink if I don't heat set it. Just like a tiny bit, it makes it a little bit muddy. So I like to heat set it whenever I'm using one of the yellows. And now we have a new yellow called Darling Duckling. Ooh, I love the way that looks with the pecan pie ink. Now this is why I love doing these craft alongs with my friends. I get to learn things too. Something totally different that I would not have done. So let's look at it. I mean, you may not be able to tell a difference, but I don't know. I just like the way it looks, almost like antique-ish when you stamp it in that pecan pie. Okay, so I did find my boho blue label. So you're gonna cut one of these, then get your dies. And remember, if you are like, oh my gosh, these dies are crazy out of control, which is how I felt when I first started using them. Go back to day one. I talked about organizing your dies by month and making a little sheet to outline it. Believe me, it'll save you a lot of frustration. All right, so then let's line these up. Gosh, I like laid that down and it was like almost perfect. Okay. Now, again, if you look at the PDF, Ange designed this to hold one of the teeny little, the little terracotta pots. And I was somewhere this week, wherever I was, I guess it was the garden store. And I looked for the small terracotta pot and they didn't have it. I know that you can get them like at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, but I hadn't been to those places this week, so I don't have the pot. So instead of the pot, I thought, well, let's just do a cello bag. And so that's what I did. That's what I'm using. Where did I put the dies? Right here. Okay, now we're going to stamp the sentiment, and I love this sentiment. Sending you a floral hug, like that. And one thing I did to mine, I did it a little bit different. I'm going to take 2 of these smaller. Why do I constantly try to use my, I try to use my paper snip and it never works. Why don't I try to use the right tools, guys? Why? Why? I'm stubborn. I put like that, you know, like little nail heads. All right, so then we're gonna take this, and I think I'm just gonna use some liquid glue. Put that right there. And then we'll put just a little bit to put these behind. Like that. All right, I'm gonna turn that upside down and let that dry while we finish up our box. So inside is just a regular old 5x7 cello bag. And in there I have these, I keep these on hand. I think these are fun little flower, like mints. I'll link them to from Amazon for you today. Just a fun little easy flower themed candy. All right, now we're gonna tie this around. This, where we have that, I wanna make that the back. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put something heavy inside so it'll hold it down while I try to tie this. I'm liking this white ribbon. It's easy to use, it ties really well. It's just thick enough, just stiff enough to hold a good bow, but not too much that it bulks up your project. All right. Now to keep that in place, I'm going to take dimensionals and we'll put them right on top of that, right there. Should we do one more? I feel like we should do just one more. And then we're going to take this and put it right on top. And there you go. And then you put your little bag inside. So cute, you guys. All right, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed our projects. Tomorrow, you know, yesterday I told you I thought we were doing the bokeh technique today. I was wrong. Bokeh technique is tomorrow. So join me tomorrow for that. And Friday is our last day. We'll be doing inking embossing folders, which is one of my favorite techniques in all the world. All right, you guys, remember, any orders this week over $50 will qualify you for the free PDF and technique cards, which I will send out at the end. And if you want to purchase the PDF/technique cards, they are linked in today's post, and it's over on in my PDF store. Thanks so much, everybody. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.